Today's video is brought to you by Cars and Bids, my online enthusiast car auction site that recently sold this, and this, and this, and this, and this.
I was like, this is the epitome of vehicle. This is perhaps the greatest vehicle. This is probably the greatest vehicle ever created. You floor it and it was like, and you're like, oh, we're not going in a straight line.
Have you ever considered,
Have you ever considered a different career?
Well, there are. This is Doug DeMuro, and this is Alanis King. Alanis has joined me in my garage. She does many automotive things.
Yeah,
she is an automotive expert. She has written for Jalopnik around the same time that I was there. Road and Track.
Yeah.
Donut.
Yeah.
What else you got?
I have a podcast with Donut.
She wrote a book.
That was so exciting about Formula One.
Formula One. And today she has joined me in my garage, and we are going to talk about our automotive guilty pleasures.
That is so exciting.
So these are cars we shouldn't love,
Yeah.
but we love.
Yeah, and
we feel bad about loving them, but we love them.
And see, my husband and I had this conversation, and he said guilty pleasure car is something you're embarrassed to love. And I said, no,
Right.
I think guilty pleasure car is there are 10 chocolate bars right there, and I want to eat them, but I know I shouldn't eat them. So it's not something I'm embarrassed about, it's something I know I shouldn't do.
Okay.
That's what I chose.
I kind of think that's about the same, but well, regardless. Well,
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's do it. Guilty pleasure cars.
Okay.
You start. What is
I'm
your...
starting.
Are we ranking these, or are you just...
No, I'm not going to rank them because
Okay.
if I start with my funniest one, the one that's going to take you by surprise, everyone's going to be like, who is this woman? Why is she saying that? Like,
Okay.
we're out.
So you're like easing us into
I'm
this.
easing you in.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, what you got?
First one, Lexus LC500.
Oh, okay. You feel guilty about liking Lexus?
I do. And hear me out because we're back to our chocolate bar analogy.
Right.
I should not get the Lexus LC500. It doesn't make sense for anything I want.
Right.
But am I really interested in that chocolate bar? All 10 of them. Yes.
Why doesn't it make sense? It's a nice car.
It's
You
a
think
wonderful
it's for old
car.
people?
It's amazing. No, actually, I don't. It's the fact that this car, used, you can get it for about $60,000, and it
Yeah.
has like 60,000 miles on
Yeah.
it. And me personally, when I think about cars, I think about what am I going to get the most use out of? And I would get the most use out of a practical car
Right.
and a sports car different.
Right.
Okay? The Lexus LC500.
Right. You want one car that does one thing and one car that does another.
Exactly, because if I buy one car that does two things and doesn't hit the rest of my boxes,
Right.
then I'm spending $60,000 on a car that is just kind of like in the middle. And
Right.
Grand Tours work for people who want to spend that kind of money. I am very frugal.
Right.
Okay, like I could buy this car and I choose not to. And this is because we're not hitting these boxes. It's not a manual.
Right.
It's huge. This thing weighs 4,400 pounds
Big.
and you can get like a $6,000 carbon fiber package on it. As if that matters.
Right.
As if that
Right.
matters.
You can save 31 pounds probably.
Yes, with this carbon fiber package, like this car is silly.
Right.
It's silly. It's for someone who is just like, $60,000.
Right. It's the kind of car you can buy as a third car when you're retired and you just don't.
And it doesn't meet anything I want. Like when we think about it, there's no space in it. The back seat is a back seat. It's a purse shelf. There aren't even lights back there. Like if you sit in the back seat of that car, one, you won't fit. Two, you won't be able to see anything because they didn't put lights back there because that's for the purses.
They knew that people wouldn't actually use it. Do you prefer
Exactly.
the convertible version of this car or the coupe?
No, I prefer the coupe. I think the coupe, the lines are so beautiful on that car. I love the coupe. I love all the lines on this car. Like you look at how the fenders just like slightly bend outward over those 21-inch wheels and you're like, oh, this thing looks like a spaceship.
For that reason, I don't think that car is that much of a guilty pleasure. I understand your point, but to me, it's like, that car's okay to like.
But it's a very good car. But for me personally, it is a car that I could not justify buying.
Right.
And that to me is a guilty pleasure because I cannot justify
the purchase of it. Okay.
Exactly.
The cars on my list are like, I'm
Embarrassing.
embarrassed.
Yeah.
I'm like legitimately embarrassed.
And you know what? I think that's beautiful. I think that's wonderful because you're gonna look at my list and you're gonna be like, Alanis, are you like this is on your list?
You're too practical and frugal, and so a impractical frugal car for you in itself is enough of a guilty pleasure.
Exactly. And when I test a car that's like a Grand Tourer or like practical, The test you do is you get in the trunk and you try to close it.
Is that the test you do?
Yes, that is the test you do.
That's the test the general you. Everybody knows you do this test, right?
Yeah. I got in the LC500 and I rolled around in all these different like positions and I couldn't close. It didn't matter if I was like flat on my back. It didn't matter if I was turned to the side.
Can we talk about this for a moment?
Yes.
Do you close the trunk then?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you alone?
No, someone closes it on you.
Okay.
And then, I mean, all trunks have the pull release.
What if it doesn't work?
Well, then, you know, someone will come looking for you. It's a yellow LC500. Like, you can just knock on the trunk.
Insane. Okay, that isn't, I understand your point. So because you're a practical, frugal person, an impractical, non-frugal car
makes me feel guilty.
Makes you feel guilty. Okay,
Yes.
mine are so, I feel now embarrassed even more.
This is so exciting.
It's even more embarrassing.
Wait until you hear my others.
My first one, honestly, I'll get back to my first one, but I'm gonna say.
We're skipping the first one. It's too
I'm gonna
embarrassing.
say this one is the guiltiest.
Okay.
I kind of like the Hummer EV.
You know what? I think that's really brave of you.
Here's my thought. And I wouldn't get one because it
Okay.
doesn't vibe with who I am.
Yeah, no, you know what? When I see Doug DeMuro, I see him in that
I have a
Hummer
Mercedes
EV.
station wagon is like mine. No, here's what I like. It is incredibly fast.
Yeah.
It's a convertible.
Yeah.
It is electric. People are like, it's inefficient. It's more efficient than any gas car that I drive.
You're right.
It can off-road. It has cool stuff.
It's
like
cool.
tech is cool. Like, a lot of people hate this car
They
because
do.
of the way that the image of the person
Yes.
who drives it, which
Exactly.
I agree. But like, it's
kinda cool.
fast and it's
kinda cool.
off-road. I like it.
kinda
I think
cool.
it's cool. I
I-
see him on the street. I'm like, oh, I
You
wish
know
I could
what?
pull that off.
Doug, I support you. I think most people do not.
Oh, I've gotten in Twitter fights about the Hummer EV with other of our colleagues.
With our colleagues. Oh, okay.
But,
Interesting.
But I just like, people knock it also for the size, but it's not that
The
much bigger than
size?
like the regular Super Duty trucks, of which they sell many more. Like
Well-
orders of magnitudes more.
Well, if you know Daniel Golson, he saw a Hummer EV recently parked in a line of vehicles next to other modern trucks. And you can argue that modern trucks are way too big, but the Hummer EV was actually not that much bigger than the other trucks that were also parked
Which
in.
are sold in much higher numbers. So everybody
Exactly,
singled this
yeah.
out as like this dangerous, terrifying, and it is.
Yeah, it
But
is.
like so is an F2. If you just
It
want to
is.
look at numbers, like an F250 that is every guy in
Yes.
rural Pennsylvania is currently
Yes.
driving one down a 2-lane road and texting.
Yes, exactly. And texting, like not here.
Right.
Here.
Right. That's just as scary. I'm not as worried
Yeah.
about the people who are spending $200,000 on a Hummer EV, of the 9 of them that they've
Yes.
actually sold.
So I think your point here is that the commentary should be about the larger car industry and less about the Hummer EV.
It's exactly right. If you're gonna do a thing about,
Yes.
the Hummer EV is like a poster child, but when
Yes.
you think about the fact that they've literally sold, I think like they announced recently that this year they've only moved like 100 units or some insane number. They haven't like
That
built
could have
one
been
in a
you,
month
Doug.
or something.
It could have been you. You could have been one of those people.
Damn, I could be driving around a Hummer EV.
Dang. Dang.
All right. No, I think I can say, I think damn is okay. You're fine.
We're good.
But I'm guilty. I feel guilty for.
You should. I feel guilty for supporting you. So we can
Well, I wouldn't
share
get
this.
one, to be clear.
Do we want to go normal or do we want to go the you're gonna roll your eyes?
Maybe
Pick.
go normal next, and then we'll move on.
Okay, we're gonna keep everybody around a little
Right.
longer. 2007-ish V8 Vantage.
Same kind of situation. because
Same situation.
Are you worried about reliability with that?
Yes.
car? Yeah.
I'm also worried about the fact, so when you have this V8 Vantage, you go online and you look at them and you can find like a V8 Vantage
Right.
with 30,000 miles on it for $35,000.
Yeah,
and you
cheap.
look at this and you go, oh, that's a beautiful car.
Right.
It's an Aston.
Right.
It's a manual. It's everything.
Right.
And then you do some Googling and you go, oh, the clutch is gonna go out. Oh, this is gonna happen. This
Yeah.
is gonna happen. And we're not paying normal prices on this.
Right.
We're paying Aston Martin prices. So the barrier to entry is so low that it's tempting. And it's tempting
Right.
enough to like once a year, Google it and go, I could do that. And then you start doing the searching and you go, No,
Right.
no.
This is the frugal person in you again.
Yes,
That guy. You don't
again.
actually want to be on the hook for thousands of dollars a year.
Exactly. But am I tempted by
Right.
the fact that it's $35,000? Yes, because when you look at a new V8 Vantage, you're paying like $150,000 in
Right.
today's market for a new V8
And
Vantage.
the one that you're talking about is a beautiful car.
It's a beautiful car. It's gorgeous. It's like, it's not over the top.
Right.
It's not underwhelming. It's like the perfect amount of just like Aston beauty.
Right.
And you look at it and you go, ooh,
That would be
I
nice.
want that. And then you go, why is it $35,000?
Right. You know,
Ooh.
I had one of these. I had an 06 years
okay.
ago. And it didn't give me any problems.
Oh, okay. So you're
More or
trying to
less.
encourage me here.
We get them submitted on the site at with 80,000 miles. And
Yeah.
my barometer for car reliability is often like, when you see them, how many miles do they have? Like, no one's
Yeah.
ever seen a Chevy Aveo with 150,000. Something happened.
Something happened.
The Vantage is like, they're not that, I think they're not that bad. Some
Yeah.
Astons obviously are.
Yeah.
But I think you could.
I think I could do it, but every time I think I could do it, I go back to this story on Jalopnik by Alex Goy, who has a V8 Vantage, and he is like, yeah, it's a money hole. And
Right.
I go, thank you, Alex. And
It's
then I
cool.
And then I put
And
it to
that's
bed
why
for
it's a
another
guilty
year.
pleasure.
Exactly. And it's cool. And we're just looking at those chocolate bars again.
Right.
And we're like, maybe one,
Right.
not 10.
Right.
No, we shouldn't do 10.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel.
No, that's a cool. It's a cool car, but
Yeah.
it is any car like that seems really appealing, but is problematic.
Yes, exactly.
You
It's
look at it
problematic.
and you think, oh, this would be cool, and then you're just like, no.
No. But now we're back to embarrassment central.
Okay,
Let's go.
all of mine are American, like
I love this.
big engine American. These are the cars in Texas. You probably see these
Doug is like,
normal people
this is
drive
like,
these around.
Everybody drives these around where I live, and Doug is so embarrassed.
Okay, Prowler.
Okay.
That is my absolute number one, has always been a guilty
know
pleasure,
what?
because
Yes.
people talk about how it's actually not all that great of a car.
Yeah.
They were all automatics. They had a V6 from like the Dodge Intrepid.
Yep.
But I see them.
You know what? I'm so on board. I'm so on board, Doug. I agree.
They're just cool.
You're not gonna embarrass yourself in
They
front of
just
me.
look cool.
I agree.
Thank you. I
And
appreciate that.
the problem with your list is that if you're driving any of these cars around, so many people are gonna come up to you because they're gonna see this car and they're gonna be like, "Who's driving that? Oh, it's Doug DeMuro."
Right. No, that is
Yeah.
a problem.
That is
Any
a problem.
car that is really out there,
Yes.
that's an issue with.
Yeah.
But
I totally support
like,
that.
imagine
Yeah.
driving a purple. Remember?
Yeah, oh, the purple one.
Remember they had the trailer?
You're so, yep.
Imagine just cruising around
Yep.
with those bumpers hanging off the front.
Just like, ooh.
I know it's not the greatest car to drive, but to me, the cool thing about that car, the reason
Yes.
it's a guilty pleasure, the reason I'm
Yes.
a little embarrassed by it is
Yes.
I don't care.
Yeah,
I just
agree.
want to drive it and like I think it's cool and like
You
look
know
at
what?
it.
I think a lot of people would actually admit
Yeah.
to liking this. Like, if they had someone to relate to.
Right.
Because my husband and I look these up. We look up Prowlers and we go, oh, that's kind of cool.
It's kind of cool, and
It's
you
kinda
know
cool.
It's like a boom. But like at the end of the day, also they're other people must because they're
Yes.
surprisingly valuable.
Yes, and like, this is not information you just offer up willingly.
Right. Closet Prowler owners.
Yes, unless someone starts the conversation. And Doug, I think we're starting a movement here.
To like the Prowler.
Yes.
They
Look
sold
at
like
this
They sound
thing.
like the 30s.
Look at this
but when
thing,
you think
the
about
goofy
a
little-
90s Chrysler or Plymouth, you
Yeah.
think about in your
That's
mind
what you
that's
think
a
about.
$4,000 car.
Yeah, 100%.
But the Prowler never got cheap.
No,
People,
it didn't.
There are other people who like it.
And it's just, it's so funny looking.
It's so funny.
It's so funny looking.
All right, what is your ridiculous crazy one?
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Have you taken a deep breath?
Yeah. It's not gonna be worse than the Hummer EV admission.
Kia Carnival.
Okay, you don't have any children.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's why.
Okay, so you
Exactly.
just feel like you want a van.
No, I want the Kia Carnival.
Okay, and why is that?
Because I got this car. I got this car to review about 2 years ago. And I got in there and I was like, this is the epitome of vehicle. This is perhaps the greatest vehicle Like, this is probably the greatest vehicle ever created.
How many people who got the Kia Carnival press car do you think went in and thought, this is the epitome of vehicle?
Me.
Just the one.
Just me. And I said this in the review. I asked my husband, is this the greatest vehicle ever made? And he said, I think so.
You like the fact, if I may guess, that it's like all well-rounded. That it has you can do anything with it.
And also, the thing that's amazing is this is a car that's not only a family car, it's also a chauffeur car. Because when you get the Kia Carnival with the captain chair package in the middle seats,
right, it's like really nice. I remember that.
Really
nice. It
nice.
has all sorts of, you can lay back or something.
You kick out the footrest and you lay back, and then you get the entertainment package.
This is insane.
And you're watching the TV.
But you're driving. You are driving.
That's the problem, Doug. That's why it doesn't make sense.
So you want a Kia Carnival with a driver.
Yes, that is exactly it.
That's great.
Because I'm going to tell you, we got this car, and on the first night we had it, it was in the driveway, and we opened up the moonroof, and we're staring at the stars in the driveway, and we had the entertainment thing going. My husband put Doug DeMuro on the screen. And we're sitting here blasting the AC, looking at the stars, and Doug is like, this is a random obscure van. And we were like, this is the van, and we're in it.
But then you have to get in the driver's seat, and it's not enjoyable.
And see, that's the problem, because you get in the driver's seat and like front wheel drive, this thing does not put down the power
not well. No.
Like
it has a lot of power, but it's not.
You floor it, and it was like, and you're like, oh, we're not going in a straight line, and the steering is so dull. Like, this is not a car that you drive. This is a car that my guilty pleasure would be a Kia Carnival and someone to drive it.
Okay. Because I would argue that the point of a car, one of the points, is to drive.
Yes.
And
that's why I feel guilty. That's why I feel guilty, because I don't want to drive the Kia Carnival.
Have you ever considered,
Have you ever considered a different career?
Well, there are other vehicles, like these Maybach.
Yes.
That have like pillows and
I don't want that.
Tray tables.
And that's why I feel like that's why it's like kind of embarrassing and guilty, because that's not what I want. I want the Kia Carnival.
Kind of embarrassing. I think this is kind of heading up. This is up there with the Hummer EV, to be perfectly honest with you.
I supported everything you've said so far.
I don't know. That was a mistake. Let's see about the next one.
I've supported everything you've said so far, and here you are like,
so
Kia
you
Carnival.
want the vehicle so that you can sit and like watch things in luxury, but you don't want an even more luxurious vehicle.
No, because why would I buy that when I could have a Kia Carnival for $47,000?
Right.
It's $47,000.
Right.
What car do you need?
In my mind, this category is, it's like you can spend as much as, we're not gonna buy, you can spend
Yes,
whatever.
Doug, but I'm practical.
You're practical even in the hypothetical.
I'm practical even in the hypothetical, because I have to stay true to myself.
Okay,
Because
that's
I know
fair.
who I am.
And so the Kia Carnival is...
The Kia Carnival. I love the Kia Carnival, Doug.
Okay, it was indeed a surprise. You prepared us and you were right.
I prepared you. Aren't you glad I didn't lead off with that?
Yeah.
That would have been terrible.
Would have been like, I don't know if we should have brought her down here.
Yeah, maybe you should go home.
I'm going to do my last guilty pleasure car.
I'm choosing not to support you because of the Kia Carnival thing.
What if it's really good?
Then maybe I'll change my mind. Maybe I'm just a better person than you.
All of mine, I actually am embarrassed by this because all of mine are American. And I really think some people are going to be watching this be like, these aren't guilty pleasures, they're cool.
Yeah.
But to me, it's
these
like...
are cool, Doug.
Right, I know, I feel bad. But I like all these cars.
Okay.
This is a tie. They're two similar cars.
I'm like drum rolling in my head.
C4 Corvette.
Okay.
And the 4th gen Chevy Camaro. So the C4 was the Corvette that was made through 96, which is like generally agreed to be the worst Corvette.
Yeah.
I have always loved it.
Yeah.
And then the 4th gen Camaro is like the Southern, throw some power into it and wrap it around a telephone pole kind of car. And I'm
absolutely
into that. I'm kind of into that.
I think we should all wrap it around a telephone pole
Well, I wouldn't
once.
do that.
Yeah.
I would stop short of that, I think.
Use the brakes.
Yeah. Which is a concept in that car, probably drums and no ABS.
Yeah.
But I like I loved the C4 Corvette always.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
I think it's cool looking. It's like pointy
You know
in
what?
front.
I support you.
Thank you.
I can't fault you.
Oh, good. I
can't fault you.
Despite the Kia Carnival incident.
You know what? I'm just a good person, Doug.
The thing is, these C4 Corvettes are not that expensive. I really prefer the later ones. The 94, 95, 96s, they were just better cars. They looked better. But I think they're cool.
Yeah. And you do kind of bypass the people who want Corvettes because they're going C6. Yeah. They're going other generations. Yeah. They're not going C4. You're going C4.
For like $9,000 too.
Yeah,
and exactly. The Camaros, like a really nice Z28 from the 4th gen is like a $14,000 car. And it's like 350 horsepower.
It's smart. And at the end of the day, you don't know exactly how automotive trends are going to go. And generally when people like a car, they end up liking all of the generations of it eventually.
Right.
Like everybody loves the Mark IV Supra. We kind of trail into the other generations.
Eventually the other Supras get so expensive that you have to like the other ones.
You have to like the other ones.
Because you're going to be stuck with a Mark III because otherwise...
Exactly. You're just ahead of the market here, Doug. You're just thinking ahead.
No, I don't think these cars will ever become valuable, but I do think they will always be cool.
Dime a dozen.
Corvette!
You know what? Good for you, Doug. Good for you.
I guess, but man.
Good for you.
Okay, those are our guilty pleasure cars.
Kia Carnival.
That was the weirdest
We'll
one
leave
of
you
them.
with that.
I don't ignore that one. But otherwise, thank you for watching a fantastic video with Alanis.